What if I told you that the moment an empath finally snaps is not a breakdown but the most powerful awakening you'll ever witness? Stay with me, because what Carl Jung discovered about psychological breaking points will completely change how you see the empath's transformation from doormat to untouchable. Carl Jung said that the psyche has a self-protective mechanism that activates when someone has been pushed beyond their limits. But here's what most people don't understand. When an empath snaps, they're not losing control. They're finally taking it back. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll understand why the moment an empath snaps is the moment a manipulator's world comes crashing down. According to Carl Jung's research on psychological transformation, there's a phenomenon he called enantiodromia, the tendency for things to transform into their opposite when pushed to extremes. But for empaths, this isn't gradual, it's instantaneous. One moment they're the patient, understanding, accommodating person everyone takes for granted. The next moment they're someone completely unrecognizable. Here's what Jung discovered that will blow your mind. The empath's breaking point isn't random. It's the culmination of thousands of micro-betrayals, dismissals, manipulations, and boundary violations. Their psyche has been keeping score the entire time. Every lie they forgave, every disrespect they tolerated, every time they put someone else's needs above their own. All of it gets stored in what Jung called the shadow, until one final transgression triggers the entire database to come flooding into consciousness. And when that happens, according to Jung's lifetime of research, the transformation is absolute and irreversible. Carl Jung understood that we all wear masks, what he called the persona, to navigate social expectations. But empaths wear the heaviest masks of all. They smile when they're hurting. They say it's okay when it's not. They absorb everyone's pain and pretend they're fine. But when an empath snaps, this mask doesn't just crack, it shatters into 1,000 pieces. Here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. The person who emerges from beneath that shattered mask is someone the manipulator has never met. This isn't the gentle, forgiving empath they've been exploiting. This is what Jung called the integrated shadow. Someone who has finally accessed their capacity for rage, for boundaries, for ruthless truth-telling. And this version of the empath, according to Jung's research, is absolutely terrifying to anyone who's been taking advantage of them. Listen carefully to what happens next, because this is where the tables turn completely and permanently. According to Carl Jung, the most powerful psychological response isn't aggression, it's withdrawal. But when an empath snaps, their withdrawal isn't weak or passive. It's what Jung termed conscious detachment. They don't scream. They don't explain. They don't give you one more chance. They simply go silent. And that silence, Jung discovered, is more devastating than any words could ever be. The manipulator, who's used to the empath chasing, explaining, apologizing, and fighting for the relationship, suddenly faces something they've never experienced before: complete and total indifference. The empath stops responding to texts. They don't return calls. They don't engage with provocations. They've activated what Jung called psychic immunity. They've become emotionally unavailable to the person who taught them that their availability was a weakness to exploit. And here's the part that will send chills down your spine. According to Carl Jung, this silence isn't temporary. When an empath snaps, they don't come back. They don't reconcile. They don't give second chances. The door doesn't just close, it disappears. And the manipulator is left standing in front of a wall where a door used to be, finally understanding that they pushed the wrong person too far. Carl Jung said that empaths possess what he called archetypal perception. They see patterns that others miss. But when an empath snaps, this perception becomes laser-focused on one thing: revealing the truth. Every lie the manipulator told suddenly becomes crystal clear. Every gaslighting attempt gets exposed. Every manipulation tactic becomes obvious. The fog lifts and the empath sees with perfect clarity exactly who they've been dealing with. Jung discovered that this moment of clarity is irreversible. The empath can't unsee what they've seen. They can't unknow what they now know. The person they loved, trusted, or gave endless chances to is revealed as a pattern, a type, a predictable collection of manipulative behaviors. And once an empath sees you as a pattern rather than a person, according to Jung's research, you become nothing more than data they'll never forget. Here's what most people miss about this phase. The empath doesn't hate you. They've transcended you entirely. You've become a case study, a lesson learned, a chapter they've closed. And that, Jung understood, is far more final than hatred could ever be. According to Carl Jung, healthy psychological development requires the establishment of boundaries. But when an empath snaps, they don't just establish boundaries, they build fortresses. The person who used to give endless chances now gives zero. The person who used to explain themselves now offers no explanations. The person who used to accommodate everyone now accommodates no one who hasn't earned it. Jung called this psychic self-preservation, and for empaths who finally snapped, it becomes their new operating system. They're not being mean. They're not being cold. They're simply done being accessible to people who proved they can't be trusted with access. The empath realizes that their empathy is sacred, their energy is finite, and their peace is non-negotiable. And once they embody this truth, according to Jung's lifetime of research, they become absolutely untouchable. The manipulator, who's used to wearing down the empath's boundaries through persistence, suddenly discovers that persistence means nothing. The empath has evolved beyond persuasion, beyond guilt trips, beyond emotional manipulation. They've reached what Jung called psychological sovereignty, complete ownership of their inner world and who gets access to it. Carl Jung discovered that empaths naturally radiate a warm, inviting energy that attracts people, including predators. But when an empath snaps, this energy undergoes a fundamental transformation. They don't become cold, they become discerning. Their warmth is now reserved exclusively for those who've proven worthy of it. Here's what Jung understood that most people miss. This energy shift isn't something the empath controls consciously. It's an automatic recalibration that happens at the soul level. People who used to feel welcome in the empath's presence now feel distinctly unwelcome. Not because the empath is hostile, but because their energy has simply closed the door. Jung called this energetic boundary enforcement, and it's more effective than any words could ever be. The empath who snaps begins to radiate what Jung termed integrated power. They've combined their natural sensitivity with hard-earned wisdom, their compassion with discernment, their openness with selectivity. And this combination, according to Jung's research, creates an energy signature that manipulators can sense from a mile away. They know instinctively that this empath is no longer available for exploitation. According to Carl Jung, certain psychological transformations are irreversible because they involve fundamental shifts in consciousness. When an empath snaps, they don't just change their behavior, they change their entire relationship with themselves and the world. They've crossed what Jung called the threshold of no return. Here's where it gets absolutely magnificent. The empath doesn't miss the person who pushed them to snap. They don't romanticize the past. They don't wonder what if. They've accessed what Jung termed cold clarity, the ability to see situations exactly as they are without the distortion of hope, attachment, or sentiment. And once an empath reaches this clarity, they realize something profound. The person they've walked away from was never worthy of their energy in the first place. Jung discovered that empaths who've reached this breaking point often look back and wonder how they tolerated so much for so long. They see their past self with compassion, but also with a fierce determination to never let anyone treat them that way again. The snap wasn't a moment of weakness. It was the moment their soul said enough, loudly enough, for their conscious mind to finally listen. Carl Jung said that the most powerful individuals are those who have integrated their shadow, who have acknowledged their capacity for rage, for coldness, for cutting people off completely. When an empath snaps, they don't just integrate their shadow. They weaponize it, not to hurt others, but to protect themselves with a ferocity they never knew they possessed. The empath who has snapped becomes what Jung called psychologically complete. They've learned that kindness without boundaries is self-destruction, that forgiveness without accountability is enabling, that love without reciprocity is depletion. They've stopped being nice and started being real. They've stopped being available and started being selective. They've stopped explaining themselves to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. And here's the final piece that makes them absolutely unstoppable. According to Carl Jung, when someone has fully integrated their capacity to walk away, to say no, to prioritize themselves, they become immune to manipulation. The empath who has snapped doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. They don't need closure, they don't need the last word. They've given themselves permission to simply be done. And that permission, Jung discovered, is the most liberating force in human psychology. This is what happens when an empath finally snaps. They don't lose themselves, they find themselves. They don't become the villain. They become the person who finally loves themselves as fiercely as they once loved others. And once an empath reaches this point, they never go back. The snap isn't the end of their story. It's the beginning of their freedom.